Hello friends, I'm Lokesh, your mentor at mentorbuddy.com. We have a question based on simple and compound interest. This is a very typical question which comes often in most of the competitive exams. So when we read the question, it says the difference between the compound interest and simple interest on a certain amount of money for 2 years at 10% is rupees 4. The amount in rupees is. Now this question can be done in two ways. Let us look at the conventional way of doing this question. Before that, let us see what all values have been given in the question. It is given that the rate of interest is 10%. So I'll just put the value rate of interest 10% per annum. Also given that the time is 2 years. So I'll put time as 2 years. And also given that the difference between compound interest and simple interest is rupees 4. Now we need to figure out the value of P, that is principal. Before that, let us see what all values or what all formulas we have for compound interest and simple interest. The formula for compound interest is principal multiplied by 1 plus rate of interest per annum divided by 100 to the power t time in years minus p. This is the value, or this is the formula for compound interest. For simple interest, it is p r t by 100. So if I put the values in the formula which says compound interest minus simple interest is equal to rupees 4, if I put the values p multiplied by 1 plus rate of interest is 10% divided by 100 to the power 2 minus p minus simple interest, which is equal to p multiplied by rate of interest 10 multiplied by time, which is 2 divided by 100, is equal to rupees 4. Now as you can see, the only variable in the complete formula is p. Therefore, by solving this equation, we will be able to get the value of p. But looking at this complete formula, it is easily understood that solving this formula will be time consuming and a tedious method. But this sort of question is very frequently asked in most of the competitive exams. So do we have a different approach to solve this question? Yes, definitely. So let us understand what is that. Before I come to that particular approach, we need to understand a very basic thing, and that is compound interest is calculated in a different manner as compared to simple interest. For example, if I do a clear distinction between simple and compound interest, let's assume that the initial amount is rupees 100, rate of interest is 10%. So at the end of first year, 100 rupees will be fetching rupees 10 at the 10% interest value. The same will be in the case of simple interest. At the end of second year, simple interest will still be giving us 10 rupees for the first year and 10 rupees for the second year. But compound interest will give us rupees 10 for the first year, and then for the second year interest of 10% will be calculated on 100 rupees plus first year interest, that is on 110 rupees, and therefore it becomes 110 rupees. 10% of 110, that is 11 rupees. So this becomes 21 rupees, whereas in case of simple interest it still remains 10 plus 10, that is 20. Similarly, in the third year, it will be 10 rupees for the first year, 11 rupees as we calculated for the second year, and then 10% of 100 plus 21, that is 21 rupees. Whereas in case of simple interest, it still remains 10 plus 10 plus 10. So what happens? Interest in case of compound interest is calculated successively. This word is what I was trying to explain you. Successively calculation of interest in case of compound interest. So therefore, with this word only we got a concept called as successive percentage. Successive percentage is the concept which will be helpful in solving this question very easily. For example, again, if I take rupees 100 as my initial amount and then a 10% increment will make it 110 rupees. Then a 20% increment of 110 will make it 132. That means if there is a 10% and then a 20% successive increment, the value of 100 becomes 132. That is, it increases by 32%. So it is not 10 plus 20, because 10 plus 20 will give us 30 only, whereas it is 32%. So successive increment or successive decrement cannot be calculated on the basis of simple addition or subtraction of the percentages. For successive percentage, we have a formula that is A plus B plus AB upon 100%, where A and B are successively increased or decreased percentage values. Like for example here, it was 10 at the first place and then 20 at the second place plus AB, that is 10 into 20 divided by 100, which is 10 plus 20 plus 2, that is 32%. So that is how we calculate successive percentage. So let us see how can we use this concept in this formula. So we have a formula in the beginning which says compound interest minus simple interest is equal to rupees 4. Compound interest when calculated on the successive basis for 2 years at 10% becomes A plus B plus AB upon 100 minus simple interest remains the same because simple interest does not have anything as successive calculation. So it becomes 10 plus 10, that is 20% of principal is equal to rupees 4. As we can see, this is 10 plus 10 plus 1, 21 minus 20% of principal is equal to 4, which is nothing but 1% of principal is equal to 4, which can be written as P by 100 is equal to 4, and hence we can say that principal is equal to 400 rupees. Let me repeat this once again. A quick recap of what we have done in the second method. As I said, successive percentage is a very useful concept, which means when there is successive increment or decrement of a value, it is calculated as A plus B plus AB upon 100. Now, when we know that, the question says the difference between the compound interest and simple interest on a certain amount of money for 2 years at 10% is rupees 4. So I can write it as compound interest minus simple interest is equal to 4 rupees. As we know, compound interest is successive percentage. Therefore, I wrote it as 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 upon 100 minus simple interest is not successive. Therefore, it is 10 plus 10, 20. So this becomes 21 minus 20% of principal is equal to 4, which becomes 1% of principal is equal to rupees 4, which is P by 100 is equal to 4, and thus P is equal to 400 rupees. That is option number 3 becomes our answer to this question. I hope the method, the concept, and the utility of successive percentage is clear to all, because this method is not only going to save time for us but is going to be a sure shot method through which we can get the answer quickly and accurately. Thank you.